I can tell you weight from right here. 159, right? And next week, 143. And the week after that...
Now, this movie is not talked about enough for me. When I brought this movie up in the Bones review, a lot of you guys requested this movie, so you know it had to be done. I remember watching this movie a lot when I was younger, but watching it as an adult, there were so many details that I missed. The main one being, why Billy's wife didn't suffer the same fate. Listen, we'll get to that, but while watching this movie, I noticed a few things, and now it's time to talk about it. So let's get into it. So the movie starts off with us meeting our main character, Billy. Apparently, Billy struggles with his weight and is trying to lose some pounds. His wife, Heidi, is helping him with this. She makes him smoothies and she's even tracking his progress on the computer. Their daughter, Linda, comes down to inquire about her father's current case. Billy is a lawyer and is currently representing a client with mob ties. Billy and his daughter have this cute little moment.
This is justice. This is not justice.
Keep it up, I'll take your video card, lady.
You would not.
Oh, promise, sweetheart.
And Billy's able to get this mobster off by planning reasonable doubt. When he makes it to his office after his win, he sees a gypsy fair outside. The gypsies are new to town and wasted no time making their presence known. As he makes it up to his office after struggling to get up the stairs since the elevator was not an option that day, he conversates with his coworker, Kirk. Kirk has noticed the gypsies outside, particularly this lady.
Give her this quarter. Tell her to raise her skirt.
And she turns around and stares up at them as if she heard him. As Billy makes it down to the street, he briefly speaks with a judge who is not so happy about the gypsies' presence in town. He learns from Chief Duncan that they have rented some land in their area and that's where they'll be staying. So the judge would just have to get used to seeing them around town. But as Billy starts to get in his car, he gets the attention of the lady that they were spying on earlier, and she gives him quite the show, confirming that she indeed heard everything they said. This was his first sign to tread lightly. Anyway, we fast forward to Billy, Heidi, Kirk, and his wife at dinner celebrating their win. Billy is going in with the food, but Heidi calls an end to it when the dessert tray comes. On the ride home, she brings up how he is digging himself an early grave, and she goes on to tell him how she loves him and even starts to get a little flirty on the ride home. Meanwhile, we meet Lemke. He's come to the pharmacy along with the lady Billy and Kirk were spying on earlier and two more people to get some medicine. As one of them leaves out to get something out of the car, we go back to Billy, who is so distracted that he doesn't see her crossing the street and he hits her with his car and kills her. So sometime later, we go back to Billy, Heidi, and their daughter talking about the coroner's inquest. Linda was trying to get further details about what happened and if her dad would do time, and Heidi quickly offered her delusions.
Nothing's gonna happen to your father, Linda Bell. He didn't do anything wrong.
It was at this moment I knew I really didn't like this broad, but I'll get to that later. Billy insists that it was an accident and there was nothing for Linda to be worried about. So we go to the coroner's inquest and baby, Billy pulled out all the connections. He had the pharmacist on the stand telling how the gypsies were stealing right before the accident and how he was so focused on them that he didn't see what happened. Then we go to Chief Duncan on the stand, who lies and says that Billy was sober, which he wasn't. He had wine at dinner. In the end, due to the botched testimonies, Billy wasn't charged. But if he thought it was over, he was highly mistaken, because Lemke met him outside and said one simple thing that would change his entire life. We fast forward to Billy back at home, weighing himself. Turns out he's lost 14 pounds in 7 days. Ordinarily, that would be a good thing, but see, Billy has been eating more than ever, which prompts Heidi to say this.
Maybe it's guilt.
It hasn't affected my diet any more than it's affected yours.
Later on, Billy hangs out with his buddies at the golf course, and one of them throws a little shade with a whole lot of truth.
There's nothing like avoiding a little manslaughter charge to turn a man's life around.
But Billy's response, though.
Hey, Kirk.
What?
Give me a little kiss, sweetheart. Right here.
After they're done playing golf, they're in the locker room where the judge notices a patch of irritated skin on his chest. One of their buddies, Dr. Mike, brushes it off and says it may be his psoriasis acting up. Meanwhile, Billy weighs himself and notices he's lost 2 more pounds since that morning. Insane. When Billy and the judge are showering, Judge tells him about his encounter with Lemke. Apparently, Lemke walked up to him and touched him on his stomach in the same spot where his skin is now irritated, and you already know Billy had questions.
Did he, say anything?
How the hell should I know? I was worrying about whether or not I was going to catch him Batigo from him. Or lice.
Anyway, sometime later, Heidi brings up how she thinks Billy should get off this new diet he's on. Billy has lost a total of 40 pounds in 2 weeks. So now, instead of being happy about the weight loss, she's now concerned that it could be a sign of cancer. Now, Billy is irritated by this because she pressured him to lose weight, and now that he's losing it, it's yet another problem because he's losing it too fast. It's always an issue regarding his weight. Heidi goes on to say how she ran into Mike and he mentioned running some tests on him to make sure everything's good. He does this, but everything turns out good. His blood work was fine and cancer was ruled out, and Mike offers him words of encouragement.
Believe me, everything is going to be all right.
And I guess the words of encouragement worked because when he got home, he went in at dinner time. This dude is making himself a human trash can and still losing weight by the second. This upsets Linda since she can't seem to process what she's seeing and she runs off. Heidi comes in shortly after with even more treats for Billy, yet she complains when he actually eats what she's brought out. And when the guilt jumped out of Heidi, I loved how he put her in her place.
Well, you don't have to sound so mean, as if it's my fault.
Was I giving myself a blowjob just then?
Heidi loved taking herself out of the equation. Child. Anyway, Heidi goes on to tell him that she's sending Linda to her aunt's for a couple of days since Linda is having a hard time with what's going on at the house with her dad. Later on, Billy meets Mike at a restaurant to discuss more test results. They've ruled out parasites being the reason for his rapid weight loss, so Mike recommends that he visit another clinic for further testing. As they wrap up their convo, Billy notices the judge's wife eating alone and realizes that something must be wrong. Billy is so bothered by this that he visits his wife to check on the judge. At first, she tries to get him to go away by saying he's out of town, but Billy knows something is wrong and insists on seeing him. His wife asks him if the gypsy touched him and starts to laugh like she knows something that he's not yet aware of. Lita, that's his wife's name by the way, tells Billy that her husband is in Minneapolis getting treatment at the Mayo Clinic. Apparently when Lemke touched him, he whispered lizard in his ear, and now he's on his way to looking like one. And he doesn't want anyone seeing him in his current state. Now, this spooks Billy and he immediately tries to leave, but Lita wasn't having it and she made sure to place the blame on who truly caused all of this.
I believe it's all your fault. If you hadn't hit that old lady, you were the one that hit her. You, not Carrie!
Now, Billy starts investigating after this, so he calls mob guy, Richie, and asks him if he believes in gypsies. Richie asks his mom about it, and she tells him about curses and how the one who cursed you has to be the one to take it off. He relays this information to Heidi, who of course doesn't believe him.
There is no such thing as a gypsy curse. And even if there were, it wouldn't just be you and Carrie that Lemke would curse. It would be the entire town.
And you too. But Billy remembers that Duncan was probably cursed as well, so now he needs to find him and make sure he's okay. Meanwhile, Heidi isn't trying to hear any of that because she's desperately trying to get him to this clinic. They are basically planning to keep him hostage until they figure out what's going on with his weight loss. Later on, Billy ducks out of the clinic to go check on Duncan. When he sees him, child, Duncan is looking bad, and when Billy tries to get delusional, Duncan brings him right back down to earth.
You ran the old lady down Rossington. Fixed it so you didn't even get points taken off your driving record. I just ran the whole pack out of them, out of the fucking county.
Billy tells Duncan that he wants to find the gypsy and tell him that they don't deserve this. Now, Duncan doesn't want to see Lemke, but that doesn't mean he won't help the cause in his own way.
Don't be stupid. Take the gun.
And Billy didn't want to take the gun and basically gets run out of Duncan's house right before Duncan unalives himself. Billy walks home after this and sees Mike leaving his house. He hides in the bushes so that he doesn't see him. As he fixes yet another meal, he has a vision of Mike and his wife having an affair. Billy tells Heidi that he saw Duncan and thinks that he unalived himself when he left. And before he could say anything more, Heidi tries to shut him and the whole gypsy curse thing down. But this time, Billy wasn't going to be dismissed.
Huh? I'm not having a diet. It's not anorexia. I don't have a tapeworm. I'm being erased.
I would have hated to do that scene. If he would have spit on me, on God, he would have got judo chopped. But anyway, we go to Duncan's funeral and Billy again is trying to convince Mike and Heidi that this is all because of the curse and they are not trying to hear it. They are constantly bringing up the damn clinic they are trying to send him to. They are really persistent about this clinic. But Billy insists on finding the gypsies to get the curse taken off. He visits a detective he hired to look into the gypsies and he finds out that the lady he ran over was actually Lemke's daughter and that Lemke is a whole 106 years old. But the detective lets him know the travel path of the gypsies and where he can look for them. Billy goes back to his home to, surprise, find Mike there yet again. As he quietly comes in, he overhears them plotting to have him committed. Billy agrees to go back to the Glassman clinic to prevent them from committing him, buying him some more time to take off the curse. Billy knows what's up between them, or at least what it looks like from his view, and with just one look, he confirms this with Heidi.
Billy, I am so happy.
Billy goes off to look for Lemke and leaves a letter behind for Heidi telling her what he plans to do and also warns her that if there is something going on with Mike, she needs to end it ASAP. He goes to the realty company that the gypsies rented their land from to find out where the gypsies have traveled to. And child, tell me why Heidi and Mike got a whole missing persons alert out on him. They really want him locked up at this clinic so they can live their best lives. But Billy finds the gypsies at this fair, walks right up to them, and they spot him quickly.
I can tell you weight from right there. 159, right? And next week, 143. And the week after that...
That laugh is the worst. And child, they have dolls resembling all of his buddies, and Billy was creeped out by this and hightails it out of there. And guess who is waiting for him?
Get in, you idiot!
Harry.
Ugh. Okay, so while Billy and the judge are driving recklessly down the street, they see Lemke driving this semi and run clean into him. And I know you're thinking, how in the world did this guy leave the fair and jump in this semi so quickly? Yeah, this turned out to be another vision of sorts. So when Billy woke up and called Lita, he learned that the judge died overnight due to him running into a gas truck. So now Billy is the last one standing. Later on, Billy goes to a bar near where the gypsy fair was. He asks the people inside if they know Lemke, and that catches this guy's attention. Apparently, he told this man that he's gonna see his wife soon. Dude's wife's been dead for a whole 5 years. That drove this man to drink, but he sees Billy off with the info he needs to find him. Billy calls home and talks with Linda. Linda lets him know that Heidi and Mike are worried about him and that Mike has been over a lot more lately. As Linda provides him with the tea, Heidi picks up the phone, which takes Billy over the edge.
Sweetheart, I've been talking to Mike and he's saying that...
Bitch. This is all your fault, you...
Billy tracks the gypsies down and confronts them. Turns out the lady he killed was this girl's mama. Now, Billy knew better than to tell this lie to Lemke.
Your daughter ran out between two parked cars. I couldn't see her.
Why wasn't you watching, white man from town?
Now, why would he try to insult this man's intelligence like this when he has you literally disappearing? Child, Lemke gives him his definition of justice.
Justice ain't about bringing back the dead, white man. Justice, you find the policeman, you find the judge. I make sure something happened to them. That justice, white man.
Billy finally accepts defeat and begs at Lemke's feet. Now, Lemke was amused by this and warns Billy that he should just accept the original curse because the remix gonna be much worse. And then Billy starts talking foolishness.
I curse you and everybody I see by the light of this fire. The curse of the white man from town.
And he really should have just kept that smoke to himself because this lady shuts him down real quick. Now, Billy had to reach out to Richie to get an under-the-table doctor to help him with his hand. Richie visits him the next day to check on him, and he's shocked at the sight of him. Richie brings up the term committal of absentia, and Billy's able to link this with what Heidi and Mike's been doing with trying to get him to go to this clinic. Billy now understands Heidi's true plan and knows she was out to get him since day one. Or so it seems. Richie vows to help him. He even poisons the gypsies' dogs and leaves a threatening note to scare them. I don't know. This dude was able to do all this to Billy and his friends. I don't think this would have scared him or made him nervous. But Richie goes to the store and talks to this random guy. He gives some money in exchange for him to tip him off if he sees the gypsies. And it didn't take long because by the morning he found their whereabouts and poor little Tink Tink didn't even get a chance to enjoy his money. And the gypsies quickly returned the favor. Now, Richie wants to up the ante. He captures this guy and shoots up the gypsies' campsite. In the end, this guy gets killed when the gypsies try to take out Richie, leaving Lemke spooked. And if Richie didn't already do enough, tell me why this man showed up as an FBI agent and questioned Gina, that's her name by the way, about what happened the night prior, and even showed her a picture of Billy. Richie tells Gina that he needs her to ride with him to identify Billy, and child, she couldn't wait. And he leads her here. Now, who in their right mind would just continue to walk with him while he's leading you to a random barn? Child. But Richie is able to get to her by sticking a jar of acid on her head and demanding that she get Lemke to take off the curse. Gina is eventually able to escape and offers a deadly promise.
Your friend is a pig, and he will die 10! But you will die first!
Later on, Lemke meets Billy and he's damn near gone.
Your dreams smell bad to me. They stink.
Lemke offers him a release from the curse. To get rid of the curse, he has to put the curse in this pie and give the pie to someone else. He has only a small window of time to offer the pie to someone else, so he has to work quickly, and you already know who he has in mind for this magical pie. But Lemke tries to offer him an out and a warning.
Die clean, white man from town. Die clean.
Later on, Billy calls to check in on Linda and tells her to go stay somewhere else so that he and her mother can talk. All a plan to prevent her from eating the pie. We'll see how that works out later. But he makes it home with the pie and sees Heidi. And Billy is already looking better. And Heidi tries to convince him that there was nothing going on between her and Mike. And Billy acts like he believes her and even offers her her favorite strawberry pie.
Getting even's also what it's all about. You bitch.
And the next morning, it was a wrap.
Heidi. Did you try it?
But the gag is, while he was so busy trying to get Heidi, he didn't realize that his daughter Linda never left, and she had that same strawberry pie for breakfast.
And I just had a piece of your pie for breakfast.
You had it?
Yes, Dad, it was delicious.
Now, Lemke told your ass to die clean, and you didn't listen. Now look at you, child. Oh wait, there's more. Mike comes by to talk to Heidi and Billy offers him some of this magical strawberry pie. Now, Mike wasn't with it at first, but in the end he agrees to come in and we can pretty much assume what happened to everybody in that house. And that's the end of the movie. And here are my final thoughts. Billy was going through it in this movie and it was very much deserved. This guy basically got away with murder due to his connections and privilege with the judge, the pharmacist, and the chief of police. You and your wife were getting friendly in the vehicle and killed this man's daughter and tried to convince yourselves and him that it wasn't your fault and she just ran out in the street and got hit. My thing is, if Lemke had the smoke for the judge, Duncan, and Billy, why didn't he have that same smoke for Heidi too? Lemke implied that he knew the true reason why he didn't see his daughter crossing the street, so I never understood why she was left out. But then again, maybe that's where the visions came in. I'm not sure. But Heidi really irked me. She conveniently took the part she played in the accident out of the equation every time. She felt like since she wasn't the driver, then she held no responsibility for what happened, which was a total lie. Then, if that wasn't enough, she was getting a little too flirty with Mike. And speaking of Mike, that whole thing with him and Heidi is a little cloudy to me because the more I look at it, it could go two ways. Either Heidi and Mike were really having an affair, or Heidi went to Mike for support and Mike was trying to take advantage and get closer to Heidi. When I was younger, I always thought he actually caught them creeping and it wasn't a vision. So watching it from a grown-up lens had me rethinking a few things. Another thing that confused me was after Billy confronted Lemke, they made it seem as if Lemke was starting to fear Billy and what he was capable of. Now, if Lemke had the ability to do what he did to Billy, Duncan, and the judge, and if his daughter shared some of those gifts as well, why in the world would they fear Billy? What could Billy possibly do to them that they couldn't get him back for or prevent him from doing in the first place? Despite everything Billy had done, Lemke tried to give him an out, telling him to die clean, but Billy didn't listen, and that same risky, shisty behavior he showed at the start of the film led to him losing the closest thing to him, his daughter, and pretty much everything else. Live by the pie, die by the pie. I guess, child. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Thanks for watching this review. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. As for the next review, all I'm going to say is highly, highly requested 1990 and a very determined succubus. Y'all know what it is. See you next time, you guys. Bye.